Hi, Arj. Welcome. How's things?
Hi, mate. Good. Yeah. Dying in this heat, but yeah,
We'll get
good.
onto the problems of the heat right now in a little bit. So, where are you getting? Where am I getting you from right now?
I'm currently in London, East London. Yeah,
Okay.
I live
And
here.
how's that? I was going to say, how's the British summer treating you? I know today's an extreme of that, and I was wearing a fleece the other day and a rain jacket, and then shorts as well. And today, just sweat. So, what about you? How's it your way?
Uh, yeah, pretty much the same. I'd say, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, it was pretty quite chilly for summer. And then now it's this week, and obviously for the last week or so, it's been hot. Now it's just pure sweat. Haven't been out in about 9, 10 hours. Won't be out for another couple more hours because I just can't hack it.
So, living the dream, you could say. And
Yeah.
what are you doing right now? In what's your current situation in the big smoke?
Yeah, so I'm currently working effectively in sales within tech. Yeah, so I've been working various tech companies. Essentially, I've had a career in for roughly about 10 years now at this
Oh,
point. Yeah.
so you're in deep. And
Yeah.
how have you been spending most of your time there? Obviously, you're from London. Are you more of an extrovert? Do you go out quite a lot? Do you spend your time in now? You're getting on a little bit. What's your current kind of routine, if you like?
Yeah, I'd say I'm probably more on the introvert side, I guess. I'm 32 now. I've had to check that
Com-
for a second.
Comes at you fast, right?
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, like my early 20s, I was spending, which I would almost categorize as like pre-COVID kind of thing.
BC.
Um, yeah. My early 20s were partying every weekend, basically drinking a lot, that kind of stuff. And then post-COVID, I guess, where it's been a lot different because that's closer to 30, over 30. And yeah, now in a relationship, so yes, obviously lifestyle changes a bit, doesn't it?
It's
With all of
over.
that.
With regards to being in, do you say you're in tech in London?
Yep,
With
yep.
regards to that, did you see that as like a good networking tool to go out quite a lot, or was it just more of a social side for you?
Yeah, so I'd say it just completely depends on the company you're in, right? And a little bit of the industry as well. So my first company was more kind of MarTech, um,
What's that?
and
Sorry, Martech.
MarTech, like marketing technology
Okay, oh sorry,
kind of
yeah.
thing,
I'm
right?
I'm not down with the acronyms and the kids. I'm spitting sawdust, as you can tell.
Oh, good. So yeah, that firm was like their whole business plan, I guess, was geared around getting people in who had just graduated uni, essentially. So it's filled about 21, 22, 23, etc. year olds. And then obviously when you kind of bring in everyone from around that age, it's super social. As opposed to, I guess, when you go to a lot of other technology companies where it's the ages vary, right? From more late. So currently, my current company is more I'd say generally like early 30s to 40s and 50s kind of thing. So completely different demographic.
Do you think that's a sign of the industry itself? Like finance, obviously, wealthier people generally a little bit older, people with more energy and the drive to get sales and stuff. That seems to be more of a younger person's thing. Do you think that just aligns with those two different industries and the ages, or is that a bit of an anomaly in your company?
Mm. No, I don't think it's an anomaly, to be honest. I mean, like, and I'll actually disagree with you there. I don't think that technology's got a lack of people with energy or ambition to make money. Like
Oh
tech
no,
sales is
I know
obviously
that.
notorious for this. Yes, tech sales is notorious for, people who they want to make loads of money, right? I just think it's more about like a demographic thing. Like when people are in their early 30s, going to their 40s or whatever, they're much more likely to have kids and responsibilities and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And I think also, you kind of like go through the whole in your 20s, you go out a lot etc., with co-workers or in general, and you can wake up the next day on a Thursday or a Friday and work again, no repercussions. But as you age, it's unfortunately that changes quite quickly. I mean, like, I think it's, yeah, I do catch myself thinking sometimes, like, where has the time gone? You know what I mean? Like, it feels like almost yesterday I was mid to early 20s and just a lot more energy and excitement and enthusiasm, booze and all that kind of stuff. And then now I'm like 32 and I'm like, oh, fuck. You know what? I actually love going to sleep without a hangover on the weekend, waking up early kind of thing, feeling completely fresh and stuff. So,
So
yeah,
it's a
life comes at you fast.
hot chocolate and PJs for you now. That's your kind of garb and your drink of choice, I guess.
Most of the time, yeah.
Same
On
goes.
the odd yeah.
Nice. So around now, just at the start, I normally try and get a little summary from guests. I'm sure you've seen it in all the other podcasts that you've watched of mine. Yeah, so just a little bit of a run through from a bit of your experience from maybe, late teens to now. So just like a minute or two just to run through who you are and what you're all about or what you've been about.
Yeah, sure. So I went to uni straight after sixth form, or I guess high school, right, for my international listeners. So I went to uni for 3 years, did history, just because I liked it, enjoyed it, and was always good at it at school, and I had no idea about anything else, essentially, or interest in doing any other subject. I had no intent, by the way, throughout that entire period of like using that degree for anything like history adjacent as a career. So anyway, I finished uni, and then a bit before I finished uni, I was a bit like, oh fuck, I have no idea what I want to do, job wise and career wise, all that stuff. So I went traveling for about nearly a year and a half. So I spent about a year or so in Australia doing odd jobs there, here and there, and then spent a couple of months traveling around, whatever. Came back, and then came back to London and started my first job in London in Martech in March 2017. Yeah, and then since then, did my first job for a couple of years, did a couple others, and then about nearly exactly 2 years ago, actually, my previous company got acquired, and then I found out about that in January, or rather, I got told in January that as part of the acquisition, I was going to be let go along with a bunch of other people in April. So I was like, "Fuck it," and I've been thinking about it a while and had that kind of classic, quarter age crisis. Well, I just turned 30. I was like, oh crap, I might as well go traveling again before I'm way too old to be in hostels and stuff. So I did that for 6 months in Asia, which is where you and I met, in Malaysia, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Jakarta. Where was it? Kuala Lumpur?
Kuala Lumpur, yeah.
Yeah. So did that, and then came back, and then been back for a while now, and then doing this job for nearly a year and a half.
Excellent. Yeah, so like you already alluded to, you and I, we met each other in Kuala Lumpur. It was about 2 years ago. I was staying in a condo for a month or two there. As far as I remember, I think it was at the gym. I'd had a couple of, I don't know if I told you this, I had a couple of like, not run-ins, but a couple of little incidents with a couple of Indian guys in there. One of them, he thought it was okay to play his music really loud, and then he's like walking on the treadmill and he's dancing, but really loudly, it was kind of annoying. So I had a bit of umbrage for that. And then another one, he just stared at me for like an hour, just intensely staring. So then obviously I saw you one day and I saw you staring. I thought, oh, either wants to fuck me or fight me. And then obviously you got talking. I found out you're British, so it was obviously just wanting to fight me. Um, we got into it, and the rest was history, right? So, what were you doing that time in Kuala Lumpur? What was that? Obviously, you did talk about that before. This was your kind of gap year Mark II.
Yeah.
Was that the start of it, middle of it? How did that fit into it?
Yeah, that was relatively early on in those 6 months. So I think that was like the third place I'd been to. So I started off in Japan, did that for a month. Then I went to Korea for 4 weeks, I think, 4 or 5 weeks. And then, by the way, like the only thing I planned for that whole thing was like, I was like, I reckon I'll be away before I'd gone. I was like, I reckon I'll be away for 6 months, but I've got no fucking clue. I've got no idea where I want to go. I'll just go to Japan, probably Korea, and then I'll kind of figure it out. But no, I didn't have like an itinerary. And then yeah, I was in Korea for a month, and then I came back to the UK for 2 weeks because my grandfather had passed away, so I came back for the funeral and stuff. And then I went back out to Korea for about a week because I loved it. So I'm sure we'll get onto it in a second. And then after Korea, I went over to, Kuala Lumpur. So I think, so I met you on like day 3, I want to say, when I was in Kuala Lumpur.
So that was just one of the places that you ended up going on your non-planned part of the journey. Then, what
Yeah,
about
yeah.
what about the rest of it? Where did you go after?
Yeah, so after Kuala Lumpur, I went up to, I think like I guess kind of like northern Malaysia, isn't it? Like Penang and
Yeah, it's like northwest, I guess. Near
yeah,
Thailand.
Penang and a few other places up there for like another 2 weeks or something. To be honest, I didn't really rate Malaysia, so I didn't have much of an interest in like going to much else places there.
Yeah.
And then after that, I flew down to Singapore for a couple of days, then went to Indonesia for like 3 weeks or so, which got cut short essentially. I was planning to spend like longer in Indonesia, but then I was in what's that place, that island where it's like east of Bali, but there's like loads it's really known for surfers.
Oh,
Uh,
Lombok.
yeah. So I was in Lombok for about a week, and that was fun. And then a couple days in, I got like. By the way, the whole time I was in Indonesia and Malaysia and stuff, I was like super cautious about food. So I was like, fuck getting food poisoning. And then I got really bad food poisoning there in Lombok where I was.
Bali belly. It is a thing.
Yeah, and
It's
I
got
was
a name
just
for a
done.
reason.
I was just done for a couple of days. Like, when it just like takes all the kind of excitement and stuff like that
Yeah,
out
it's
of you.
horrible.
And I was just like, fuck this. I would try somewhere new, let's say. So then I unexpectedly kind of flew to Taiwan for 4 weeks or so, which it never really kind of appeared on my like list of places to go. But I was looking at like where could I go in Southeast Asia at that time, which is like near the end of August, like where the weather's not going to be killer. It came up, and love Taiwan, to be honest. Really recommend that for people.
Yeah.
And then did that for a couple of weeks. Went back to Korea for a month, Seoul specifically. So I wanted to try kind of like living there, let's say, in one place. So I got Airbnb, like renting a room. So I did that for a month, and then came back to London.
All right. So, what was the highlight of that trip? Would you say?
Oh, meeting you, mate. Meeting you. Yeah.
Obviously, that goes without
Seeing you,
saying.
seeing you in the gym, all sweaty, top off, fucking,
I
you
knew you wanted to fuck me as
flexing.
well. I knew it. I saw that twinkle in your eye. I've seen that look before.
Flexing and everything. I was like, oh, yeah.
I just roll up and shine. What can I say? So, aside from that, what else would you say was the best part of that period?
I'd say Japan for sure. Like, for context, I'd never been to like East Asia before at all. The only other places I'd been in Asia was like India, like 25, but I was like 6. So it doesn't really count, basically. And Thailand, actually, like 10 years ago, but that's it. So Japan, I think, was definitely up there. I loved it. Super, super amazing place. One of the places actually that kind of like stuck out to me is after I'd, done it for a month, I was like, I want to go back, which is most places I go there for how long, and I'm like, oh, cool, I feel like I've done it, kind of thing. Whereas Japan, I'm like, I think I've spoken to you about this. Like, I want to go back and like get out of the big cities and just go to the small places and stuff. Japan, Korea goes without saying, and then Taiwan was definitely a real treat as well.
Awesome. Yeah, East Asia, it's obviously not unknown, and Japan's come to the fore quite recently, the last 10 years, I guess, maybe even less than that. But somewhere like Taiwan, South Korea, others as well, they skip my mind, but they are in China as well. Obviously, if you've not been to China, or anybody hasn't been to China, go. It's incredible. But I think people are being lured in by a certain side of it, whatever they see on social media, and there's a lot more to it. And obviously, you do see that when you get there. So, have your a few places to go, and then try and go off the beaten track, and you'll fall in love with the places, as I did. I can only speak to my experience, and it sounds like you too. So, like I said, I know you've been trying to like strike the balance between your current role and living in East Asia. How has that process been
Yeah,
for you?
yeah, it's been difficult. Let's say, trying to get myself out there from a career perspective is quite difficult. Basically, because without knowing the language, it's very difficult to get like let's call it a career job out there. Like you can get jobs as an English teacher pretty easy, but I mean that's it's probably not sustainable, to be honest. Um, so yeah, difficult, but trying. So, I've got my missus out there, so it's easiest, I guess, if I move out rather than she moves here.
Yeah, perhaps. So, aside from your missus, your girlfriend in South Korea, what's been your main purpose for choosing East Asia to settle? What was it that you saw in the place that was sustainable, that did have a future there for you?
Yeah, good question. I think it's a couple of different things, right? Like, if I take a step back as well, I think like most people, I think if we're like being brutally honest, most people for whatever reason don't really actually have that much of an interest in living abroad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of
You either have
homebodies,
much,
and that's great.
yeah.
They found their thing. I admire
Oh,
that
that's
too.
cool. Yeah, for sure. Like for whatever reason, like most people just like it's not that appealing or that
Huh?
they would do. For me, I've always found it quite exciting. Like when I was younger, actually, I really wanted to like try living in New York because I'd watched a bunch of TV shows like How I Met Your Mother and stuff. And
Suits.
yeah,
It'll be the Lewis
yeah,
the Lewis Lit of London.
yeah. But then obviously as I kind of got older, I was like, fuck New York. It just seems really depressing. No, no, not depressing, but like just less appealing, I guess I should say. Um, and then so for me, I guess with East Asia, it's more of like, okay, I love to try living abroad because I think it'd be a great life experience kind of thing. Um, and then East Asia, I think, is one of those places where it's a very good mixture of specifically Korea, Japan, Taiwan, and maybe China that I've been. It's like such a really good mix of, like modern ways, I guess. Like a little bit of Western kind of
Right,
influences, right?
East
You could
meets
say.
West, I think, might
Yeah,
be a
exactly.
phrase to coin or steal.
Yeah. But they've still got like their own kind of like local culture and
Very
blah
much so,
blah
yeah.
blah kind of thing. Yeah.
And
So yeah, it's all of that really.
yeah, how would you compare? Obviously, Seoul is probably the place you've spent most. I assume,
Yeah.
from what I've known about you. How would you compare living there to London, which is obviously the other place that you've lived most of your life?
Yeah. I would say it's funny. I'd say probably the biggest con about Korea is two things. One is like the currency. It's like quite weak against the pound, to be
Mm.
honest, and against the dollar. Uh, two is the summers are quite brutal. You know, like what we're experiencing today with this heat wave in the UK. This is like unusual, right, for the UK for
Yeah,
it to for this to happen. Whereas this
true.
is like every day for them in July and August. But apart from that, I think those are the two biggest kind of cons. Um, I think pros for me, like I said, I think Seoul is like really personally. I find the city amazing. Like it's got everything I kind of want. Like really modern. really safe. So many areas, so many nice areas you can go to and kind of explore and stuff. Like where there's stuff happening like every single day. Whereas like London in comparison is quite different on a lot of those things that I just mentioned. But then even just like, for like all the different areas you go to, like just to, like hang out and stuff, like London doesn't so much have that. Obviously as well, London is a lot more expensive than Korea. If I want to have a meal with my missus, when she comes over here, it costs me like, 40 quid, 50 quid. And that's just like
That's
an all right,
basics. Yeah.
that's like an all right meal. That's nothing. Whereas like there, like that gets you to a very nice place kind of thing. So it's stuff like that. And then I think as well, like with Seoul, I think it's amazing. Like they really blended like the greenery with the city. And then also like, you've lived there, right? Like if you want to go see the mountains, like go for a little hike on the weekend, you just go on the subway for like 40 minutes kind of thing. Here in London, like, well, I don't know, it's a couple hours drive or something for a bit of a hike. So it's just not really possible. You can do it, obviously, right, like on the weekend, but comparison for like ease of life, Seoul beats London, hands down.
Yeah, so you think that's kind of matching your needs as you're getting older, the safety concerns, they're not being ripped off because you probably eat out more as you get older and couples dates. You can't get away with just going for a McDonald's with your girlfriend. I'm putting words in your mouth there, but do you see that being more of an appeal for you now? Like I said, fixing on the costs, the cost of living, the safety, the ease of access to things outside of bars and clubs and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think as well, like, kind of like touching on, I guess, a thread when we talked about a little bit ago. It's like, when you're younger in your 20s, like your standards on a lot of things are a lot lower,
Yeah.
right? Like you're just like happy with a couple beers and whatever it is. Whereas obviously you get older and you're a bit like, you're wanting a bit more quality or just different kind of stuff, right? And I think personally, I think Soul is really good for that. So yeah.
I think you get more value for money, yeah, definitely. And there's an abundance of options there as well. There's London, obviously, but everybody knows that. So for anybody who looks for those things, I'd definitely suggest East Asia as a lot for people, especially how Europe's and the US and the West in general, it's getting a bit more dangerous. You're seeing a lot of bad stuff all the time. It might not ring true for everybody. That's nice, but inner city stuff, it seems like inner cities kind of connected with crime. In East Asia, it couldn't be further from the truth thing. Obviously, stuff does go on, but it's more isolated and it's not accepted by society, really. Anyway, so we'll just move on. So more about what you're doing now, the industry you're in now. You did touch on a little bit. Did you need any kind of special training or any qualifications, or was it more of a connections networking kind of thing? Because obviously you had a history in history. It doesn't seem like such a an entry for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd say my first job, like the company I kind of touched on, pretty much everyone who I worked with there had come through a degree of some sort from some uni somewhere. But that was, most people had done degrees that were like completely unrelated to marketing or had experience. It was generally just like, do you have a brain kind of thing and get you in. I was a bit fortunate, to be honest, because at the time, my brother's best friend's girlfriend or whatever, like kind of worked there. So she referred me. So that helps, right? Like, honestly, like, especially when, I mean, this is for like every job, but especially for your first job, especially now, like you need to get referred in basically to beat out everyone else. So that helped. But then since then, like, no, to be honest, like every other job I've had, by and large, I've just, I guess, been lucky enough to get through the process by myself and haven't been referred or known anyone or anything like that.
So, any tips for anyone just know somebody in the industry? No, but I've had many leg ups in my time, and I fully appreciate it. People, from my point of view, people put their own reputations on the line to get you in. So I feel like you should try that extra bit more to try and repay them and not not let them down, if anything. And then obviously from that, it's a bit of a springboard to other opportunities. That's my version of that. Nepotism, it exists everywhere. Sorry, it's not a new lesson for anybody, but that's the world. It's not who you know, it's who you blow. Is that Super Hands off Peep Show? A great show if anybody hasn't seen it. So what about other jobs in the past? What have you done before? You did kind of allude to a couple of things.
Yeah, so I mean, like I'd say my entire working career for the last 10 years has been these kind of professional career jobs where it's like basically post-sales account management for customers. Originally I started in Martech, second job was in Martech. Then my other jobs were in other parts of tech, but then still within the technology kind of industry. Then apart from that, I did have, when I was backpacking just after uni, I was just doing like odd jobs. I was just doing I was bartending, I was a waiter, I was like a temporary hospitality staff, I was working in call centers, I mean, just like some pure odd jobs.
Is this in Australia?
Yeah, Australia, Sydney and Melbourne.
Basically just described all the jobs, or some of the jobs I did in Australia when I was, I think, 20. So yeah, I think it's definitely a pattern, but it gets you there. And my opinion on those is it helps you kind of filter out the jobs you don't want to do when you're doing them time after time. And you're not the pick of the litter when you're in Australia. You don't know anybody. Usually you don't know anybody. So you are just doing these jobs just to get you to the next thing, which is usually the bar on the weekend or to go somewhere. So it's got its place. So tell me a little bit more about that year, the time you had out in Australia.
Yeah. So I landed in Sydney, and this is a very recurring theme in my life, where I had no plan apart from I'd booked like a week's accommodation in some hostel in Sydney.
Wasn't Wake Up Hostel, was it? Is that still there?
It was Wake Up.
How did I know?
So I was there, and then initially, like I said, I had no plan or whatever. And then I ended up staying in Sydney for middle of September to near the end of Jan, basically. I did move out of Wake Up though, to be fair. I was only
6 months later.
Yeah. Well, I was only in Wake Up for 2 months, and then I found like a short-term rental basically outside of, a little bit in the suburbs of Sydney. So I was working, part-time in Sydney for the last 2.5 months, maybe 3 months, something like that. And then I was just kind of like, I want a bit of a break from Sydney. So then I moved to Melbourne. And then, like, money was running pretty low, to be honest. So then it's like, oh crap, this obviously sucks. Like, I remember I had to message my brothers back home and were like, don't tell our parents because they'll stress. But I'm running out a bit of money, so can you just transfer me a bit? And then they did, thankfully. And then that kept me afloat until I got a full-time job, actually. I can work in a call center for a while. I essentially did that and other jobs for like 6 months, like right up until my visa. My mate came out to see me, and then we went out to New Zealand for about a month, doing the green bus tour around, hop on, hop off.
The Kiwi bus, I think it's a Kiwi something, Kiwi Experience, maybe the Kiwi Experience. I know they have. Yeah, I've seen them many times anyway.
Yeah, so we did that. And then, we did that, and then went back to Oz for about 5 weeks, maybe. And then, we did, what did I do after that? And then we did the East Coast, and then went to Thailand for a while. Eventually landed back home, to be honest. So I was like, you know what, I'm pissed. Because basically, I was in Oz for obviously a year, just doing a lot of work. And I was like, it got to the point where I was like, if I wanted, I could get my second year visa at the time. Because at the time, to get your second year work holiday visa, you had to do farm work to get it extended, and I was just like, I cannot be bothered to do that for 3 months, like in the bumfuck middle of nowhere kind of thing. And I was like, I'm getting a bit tired of doing these crappy jobs. Like, I actually want to make a decent bit of money and a quote unquote real job. So yeah, eventually came back, obviously, and then started my career a couple of months later.
Cool. And as we've established, we've both done that. We've trodden the same kind of path. Millions of others, young British, Europeans, Americans, I guess, other, people from lots of countries, they do that as well. What would you say was the biggest takeaway from that? What did you get out of that experience? Now you've had time to get over the trauma.
Yeah, I'd say for me, to be honest, I probably still needed a bit of growing up to do. Not to say by the time I came back, I was like, super grown up and like completely done with that kind of stuff. But for me, it was good to like to get a lot of partying out of my system, which I did in Sydney and stuff, and other places as well. And then I guess, yeah, it helped me grow. And I think also gave me a bit of a view into what do I not want to do, right? So yeah, it was good. Like, I would recommend it for anyone who can do it, right? Like, I think as well, it's just in general like good to go out and live somewhere new, basically.
So, including Australia, New Zealand, and any of the other trips you've been, has there been anywhere else that you've considered maybe moving to?
Yeah, so Oz is like obvious one, right? Like, I remember I came back and then I was like thinking, oh, maybe do I would move back out there in a couple of years or what have you. But then, to be honest, I think I lost. I was never super into that idea, really. Well, not for very long. I think it's just because it's too far. Like, and it's lovely out there. Don't get me wrong, but it's just too far away from everyone here. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I felt like I've done it a bit, right? Apart from that, I think Taiwan, Japan, I could see myself living in either place. Korea, obviously, in that part of the world, there's nowhere else really I'd kind of consider. New Zealand is just way too quiet, to be honest.
Yeah, no, there's plenty out there. And on the kind of on the a bit of a segue, we're both migrants of different degrees. We've dipped our toes into expatriating, moving somewhere else. I know it's a bit of a contentious topic in the world right now, but I don't see many people having actual conversations about it. It's more just shouting louder and not listening to other perspectives. So we can give it our best shot. So I did have another friend who was on a few weeks ago. His dad was a migrant from Iran, but my friend's like, he's British. He obviously a kind of similar situation to you. So what's your kind of take on that? What do you think, being somebody with mixed heritage and as a British Asian guy yourself? How was life for you growing up? Did you ever feel different to anybody, the people around you, or did you feel fully part of the community, or how was that? I don't want to pull any scabs or anything. Just in general, how was that for you?
Yeah, I'd say overall, I didn't feel that different really because of my skin color or anything. I think part of that was just generally due to, I remember when I was in primary school and all that kind of stuff up until I was 11 was like very well like mixed. Like, you had a bunch of white kids, you had a bunch of Asian kids, you had a bunch of black kids, you had a bunch of whatever, right? And everyone just kind of got along, and there weren't any issues or anything like that, essentially. And I think also as well, my parents did a really good job at making sure that we integrated well, I guess. Because for context, my dad came over about 40 odd years ago. My mom came over, oh God, about 57 years ago, right, roughly, from like Tanzania. So she generally kind of grew up here, I'm saying, from about age 10 or so. So they were first generation immigrants, obviously. They kind of brought us up to be like, obviously like know your Indian heritage or culture or whatever. But like at the same time, like it's not exclusive, right? Like, you shouldn't, like we did all the normal like British stuff. we did Christmas, like we got gifts and all that kind of stuff. We did Easter egg hunts in the house. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
never felt like it was, yeah, like I said, exclusive.
It was like a
So
simulation, full board.
yeah, exactly right. So we did like Diwali and stuff as well, where we like light candles around the house, but then we did
Festival
all
of
the normal.
Light. Wonderful.
Yeah. And then we spoke English at home, which I think was generally a good thing, though I look back on it and it was a bit like, I guess it would have been nice as well to grow up knowing or learning to speak Punjabi, which is my parents' language. Um, yeah, we didn't, by the way, because my oldest brother, that's how he grew up. He's about 6 years older than me, 5 years older than me. And basically, when he went to start going to like school or whatever, the teacher said to him, to my parents, that like, because that's what my parents spoke to him at home, that he couldn't speak English very well, or like
Well.
read or understand it. So my parents were like, oh, okay. So we'll start speaking English and all that kind of stuff at home. So he picks it up. And then they did that with me and my other siblings. So then we never really, like I said, like Punjabi. Yeah, like I said, like overall, it's like growing up, I didn't really feel too different, to be honest. Like that said, obviously at times, like it is, you do feel a little bit. I did feel conscious of it, and I still feel it at times. Don't get me wrong. But like overall, I'm just like, what's the word? I remember like having a good conversation about this actually about 10 years ago in Sydney with my mate Addy. He's Swedish, but he's of Bosnian heritage, like grew up in Sweden or whatever. But he doesn't look Swedish, right? Like he's got that darker complexion or whatever. Not the completely opposite, was classic Swedish look. And I remember like we have a conversation about this, and he was like, he's always felt kind of conscious about it as well in Sweden, because he's always seen as like kind of an immigrant or whatever, like that kind of stuff as well. And he was like, what do I think like has had impact on my life and all this kind of stuff? And I was like, yeah, it probably has in various ways, but like, you can't fucking do anything about it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
True.
I'm not gonna bleach my skin or do some like mental surgery or something. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? Like, you can't. For me, it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's no point stressing, like going on about all these brands, like, oh, how unfair the world is of X, Y, Z kind of stuff. Because I mean, like, it's never going to end. Like, I'm still going to be brown at the end of the day. I'm not going to be 6'5", whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be something you can whine about, kind of thing. So yeah, that's just, I guess, the way I've tried to approach things.
So, kind of on the theme of your parents, it might sound like a little lazy, but there's a kind of widely held opinion that in Asian cultures, talking like 4 billion people, half the world, parents are a little more pushy or assertive towards their children about what route they might take. Did you have that growing up at all? Or was it more of a kind of a democratic household?
Yeah, there was definitely a route. There was definitely a bit of that. In the sense of they put me and my brothers and my sister, actually, they made us all get tuition. Well, the number one thing for them actually was about us getting a really good education, essentially. Because I think it was a bit of like, they had themselves a decent education, but it's just like an Asian parent thing of like, a great education will set you up for life and obviously open doors to you, blah, 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 whatever. So they made us all get extra tuition so we get to a grammar school, essentially. And then throughout high school, they were like, yeah, trying to push me to study more. Out of me and my two brothers, I was definitely the least academic. So
what line of work or what route did your parents kind of try and guide you towards, if you like?
Computers. Yeah.
Okay.
Classic, a bit of like India. Well, I think you would have completed the not so much the trifecta, but like, the whole thing. Because my oldest brother's an accountant. My second oldest brother he did aeronautical engineering at uni and then went into government. My sister is a dentist. And
Okay.
yeah, so they were like, she's a little bit younger, but they were like, to me, they're like, oh, you're good at computers and whatever, that kind of stuff. You should go study computer science at uni. And then I was obviously thought about it a bit, but I think I obviously didn't go down that path. I think that's just because, like, I was decent at it at school, but I wasn't like amazing at programming, right? Yeah. So yeah.
And
Yeah.
how did your parents feel that you didn't pursue that line of work? Were they kind of
Um,
accepting of it, or they sound very liberal anyway in that regard?
yeah, I mean, uh, my, I think my dad more so at the time was like a little bit, I guess, kind of disappointed. I don't know if maybe that's a bit too much of a strong word, but in like an ideal world, if he could have chosen, he would have chosen I'd done bad. Do you know what I mean? But obviously I didn't. But like when I was at uni, they were pretty supportive overall. They were really supportive and whatever. I think their biggest thing was, like, make sure you come home and see us often, as much as possible because they miss me and all that. But, since then, obviously, in my career, what have you, they've been like really supportive. They've never said, do you wish you could go back and have made X, Y, Z kind of changes, whatever. They've just been like, um, basically make good money and obviously be like be happy, I guess. More so my mom says that. She's like, if you're happy and healthy, like, got nothing else to complain about, really.
Very sweet. Oh, that's a lovely
Yeah.
way to round that out. Again, on a kind of similar topic, you've talked a lot about your siblings and your parents, and obviously in a positive light. Is anybody else who you've seen as being a bit of an inspiration in your life, or who's been somebody you've looked up to a lot?
Yeah. I don't know if there's anyone I've looked up to. That's probably a bit too much of a strong word, but I've definitely had like good kind of mentors throughout my adult life, I would say. So one would be my mate who I mentioned, my Swedish mate Adi, because he's a couple years older than me, and his trajectory has been a bit different in that he's got 2 kids now, wife and stuff. But like we're very close. Like I said, like kind of touched on like our life, kind of like similar in some ways, I guess. Growing up as second gen immigrant and blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. But then also like a lot of our viewpoints and opinions are like pretty much the same. So I've always kind of like looked up to him in a way, I guess. Um, and then I've had a few other mentors, I guess, from my career who I've been able to ask for advice or what have you. Bit of professional, bit of career advice, which is always good. Um, yeah, I don't know. Apart from that, to be honest, I don't generally look up to people. I mean, like, I
You
think there's
wish.
definitely some. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like some kind of inspiring figures who I look up to, and like these are pinnacles of whatever they did, but not so much like for
More
me to look up.
admiration, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like Lee Yuan Q, who I've been interested more recently.
Who's that?
Who
Sorry.
obviously was like Lee Yuan Q. He was basically the first prime minister of Singapore
Oh,
for
of course. Yeah,
for decades. I think I've got a lot of admiration for him, just like what he was able to accomplish in
in a short time. Yeah.
40. Yeah. So we'll obviously love to see that kind of replicated in the UK and other places. But
Of course. Yeah.
yeah.
Excellent. Oh, well, that's the Pivotation Parenting and Politics podcast. Will be airing very soon, so stay tuned for that. All right, so now back to travel, the sub-context of this podcast. So we've established that you probably consider yourself quite well-travelled. Oh, I definitely would. What's your preference when it comes to trips? Do you prefer to go solo, in a group, one-on-one with your partner of whoever that is? What's your preference?
Yeah, I mean, I think my preference is probably going either with the missus. Well, they've all got their pluses and minuses, like, how you go, right? Like, obviously, if you go with your partner, it's a bit more, it's more intimate, right? Kind of stuff, that kind of thing.
If you do it properly, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I think, like, I look back at some of my most enjoyable times when I was traveling for a couple of months, a couple of years ago, and taking that kind of sabbatical was when I was in Korea, actually. So a bit before you and I met, like, I met these two lads out there in Seoul, who in my hostel room, actually, and we ended up getting like on like so well. And it was like we've just been in. One of them was in town for a couple more days, so we all hung out as a three, and then the other guy, Sergio, we hung out for good while longer.
That's
Went
the
to Busan together.
Paraguayan guy.
Yeah, you met him, I think.
Yeah, we had dinner. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you know how it is. Like, if you're with, like, personally for me, I would prefer to be solo rather than with people who, like, you meet from a hostel or whatever it is, who you're like, they're all right people, but I'm not really like clicking with. Do you know what I mean? Or rather just go solo. But if it's like good mates like yourself with them who are like cool with him, where it's just like super chill, 100%. And you're just chatting shit, blah blah blah. Yeah. What about you?
Mixed. When I was younger, definitely solo. It did open a lot of opportunities, a lot of doors, and led to a lot of opportunities that I wasn't relying on my friend who I was with or my girlfriend I was with. I've been on a couple of big trips with a group of friends from home. We had an incredible time, maybe 3 or 4 months in Southeast Asia when we were mid-20s. Excellent. Even though we were all together, we knew each other from home. We were very sociable with others, and we met so many friends because we'd go off by ourselves, go in twos, in singles, and we had a great time. So I guess it depends on what kind of person you are. If you can kind of mix the two worlds in that, with girlfriends, it's been amazing. Again, it's more intimate. It's you see a different side of that. You're more oriented towards going for meals and having that quality time and doing all the stuff that the softer stuff that a female brings to it. You're not just looking to go on the piss and do whatever comes with that. So they've all got the benefits and drawbacks, but yeah, I guess it's all age related. I think that's definitely changed a little bit over time. But right now, I think, again, solo sometimes or with a partner, I think that'll be more my style now. I must definitely be getting old. But yeah, that's what happens. You can't stay young forever as much as I try. So what would you say has been the greatest opportunity that travel has presented to you, or how did it manifest in your life, and what did it lead to?
Yeah, the right answer is obviously where I met my missus and doing it myself, of course. But I think overall, for me, it's a couple of things. I think it's given me more a sense of things aren't really as much as a risk as you think they are, as people think they are. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Like like I remember, and what I mean by it is, to give you a good example, I went to, so obviously before I went traveling, before I took that sabbatical, right? Like, I found out in like mid-January, I was going to be let go in the middle of April. So about basically 3 months of knowing.
Pack up and fuck off.
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, so obviously I was a little bit like, oh shit, like, I'm going to lose my job in 3 months time, basically, which sucks, obviously. And I was also like just seeing it as actually a really good opportunity to go and travel. It's about, because normally, when people lose their jobs, unfortunately, it's just quite sudden and stuff like that. I'm completely unplanned. But I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll just go travel now. I'm 30. You don't know when the next opportunity is going to be, etc., etc. You don't know what life's could ever throw at you. So I just obviously went and did that. And then, I went for 6 odd months. Obviously, it cost a bit of money, but at the end of the day, like, being out of not working for a couple of months, it didn't ruin my life. It didn't really take away opportunities from me. And I think, the world kind of moves on. Do you know what I mean? Like, and also it's that whole thing of like, I remember thinking to myself of like, you're never gonna remember like working really, or like not working for a couple months or a couple of years or whatever it is. Like whatever, like the world moves on, companies move on, everyone moves on. At the end of the day, like you're going to be there on your deathbed, and you're going to be thinking, "Oh fuck," about thinking about the good times outside of work, most likely. Um, so for me, it was just like, yeah, and I think overall, just like taking more risks, basically, like I said, in your life, because really, the world doesn't end if you quit your job or if you leave your job, whatever kind of happens. Um,
Yeah, and
yeah.
a door closes, a window opens. So, in window of opportunity, you could say. What about the
Yeah.
funniest or most memorable thing that's happened to you while traveling? It's probably a few of them. I'll give you a minute.
The funniest and most memorable. Oh, I mean, the food poisoning was definitely memorable for all the wrong reasons. You
But it
definitely
taught you a
didn't want
lesson. Taught you a lesson on,
it.
watching your six.
Yeah, you definitely don't want that. Memorable. I think one thing that really pissed me off at the time actually was, and this about Malaysia was actually like, 2 days before we met. So obviously I
I mean, I wasn't
landed.
there, but yeah,
Yeah.
please enlighten me.
So obviously we landed. Sorry, I landed. Sorry, and then I'd booked like an apartment to stay in for like 2 days in Kuala Lumpur. Just like, so I was like, you know what? I've been in hostels for a couple months. I want a bit of my own time, kind of thing. Which I recommend actually for anyone who does go traveling. Like, stay in hostels, stay indoors, whatever, whatever. But like, you definitely should, if you can afford it, get
Makes
your
you
own
look.
private room or whatever for a bit of time to just have it for yourself, right? Which is always good. So no, I booked like this kind of Airbnb kind of thing, and then had the directions. Turn up at this nice apartment complex. There's people downstairs, whatever, and then I'm contacting the guy, like, how do I check in? And what number is it? Blah 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 blah. All this kind of stuff. And then he's just not responding. I'm sitting down in the lobby for a good hour or two. Eventually he responds. I find some number through WhatsApp or whatever, and he's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, the pipes burst last night, so you can't check in basically." And I'm like, "Why are you telling me this now?" And also I'm like, "This is fucking bullshit. Like, I'm literally supposed to check in right now." So obviously it's trying to scam me and stuff. And then I end up like uh fucking complaining about the booking and God actually refunding me and stuff. But I remember
Yeah.
just thinking like, fuck me, this is a nightmare. Oh, another memorable one was actually because I was like, pretty proper tight with my budget during that traveling period. Because let's just say I wasn't the best at budgeting throughout the entire 6 months. Was that I remember to save like 20 quid. I had a I had a flight when I was going from Lombok to Taiwan. I had to fly to Kuala Lumpur, and I landed at like 10 p.m. My flight out was like 7 a.m. So I was like, to save myself 20 quid, for like getting into a hotel. I'm just going to sleep in the airport, um, for overnight, just like random benches kind of thing. I do not recommend that. That was not dodgy. That was not comfortable.
They're not ideal. I've had to do a few of those, and it's a nightmare. You think you can do it, and it's not. It's quite surprising how many people actually do it. Anyway, we live,
Yeah.
you learn. If you could go back and do it all again, would you, or would you change some things? Or are you happy with how things have turned out?
Yeah, I'll definitely change a couple of things. I think be a bit more. I'd say more about changing the micro details, right? Like the overall trajectory and stuff like that. Definitely keep the same and do it again. I think just change a bit of micros, like just be a bit more adventurous, get off the beaten track a bit more, stuff like that. Really, uh, yeah. I think don't play it too safe, because I think one of my most memorable days actually in Japan was, I can't remember the name of the place, but So I landed in Hiroshima, and then I went up towards like Tokyo, and then I think it was the second place, the place I went to outside of Hiroshima, where there was this like small town I'd found on like some like blog somewhere where people like recommended going, and this was like barely any tourists or backpackers turned up there, right? But it was famous because you could go there and it's like on the sea, I think, and then you could. It was kind of on the sea, like there were a bunch of islands near it, so a bunch of people could get bicycles and like go on like this famous like 100 kilometers like cycling kind of route. And for me, like I love that place. I was like, this is this was picturesque. This was like real kind of like, let's call it rural Japan, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so for me, I definitely kind of like recommend, instead of getting off the beaten track, don't just go to like the big places like the case of
All
Japan,
the
Tokyo,
sightseeing places.
Osaka and stuff. Yeah, just get off the beaten track, man. Like that's what that's about. Osaka is it's unique as well.
And final question, would you consider yourself happy?
Good question. Yeah, I'd say so.
Girlfriend's
generally.
watching. Definitely.
Yeah.
What is happiness? What is it then? In a couple of words, what was happiness for you?
I'd have to get back to you.
No problem. I think you've answered your question.
I don't know. I mean, I just think for me, it's... Yeah, I don't know.
Not everybody knows. It's hard to put your finger on it sometimes. Otherwise, we'd all be extremely happy. And on that bombshell, mate, we're done. Thank you so much. Before we go, if you have any socials or businesses that you want to plug, feel free. Do so now. If not, that's totally fine.
I'm good. No businesses, just as good.
There we have it. A man of few but impactful words. ARJ, thank you so much again for your time. I really appreciate it and love the catch up. If I don't see you on these shows, I'm sure we'll cross paths and create again very soon, hopefully. Take care.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks everyone, or anyone, for sticking around and listening all the way through. I really do appreciate your time. If you enjoyed this episode, the best way to support the podcast is simply by following, subscribing, and sharing it with anyone you think would get value from it. You can also find me on all of the usual socials, as well as those of today's guest, if they want you poking around in their business. I'll leave all the links in the show notes, so feel free to head there and take a closer look at my top tier content. If you'd like to support the podcast directly, you can do that through my Buy Me a Coffee link. It genuinely helps me keep creating these incredible episodes and improve as we go along. And finally, if you're interested in working with me more directly, I also offer a travel consulting service, whether that's guidance, strategy, or help with selecting your pivot towards your new chapter. You can book a session through the link in the description. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you on the next one.